Deirdre, lovely to talk to you. Just to start, this kind of came out of a conversation on Live Line, was it? Tell me
Yeah,
more about that.
it was crazy. I was off hiking. I hike every Thursday with my mates. And I got a text on my phone to say they're talking about you on the radio. But when I listened on the playback, it was all about menopause. And some of the stuff that was being said didn't sit right with me. Some of it wasn't accurate. So I said, to hell with that. So I texted the station and I said, I'm the Deirdre Lundy you were talking about. So I did a phone in with Joe Duffy one day, and then it just wouldn't stop. There's too much kind of anxiety and fear about what's the menopause, what's going to happen to me, what can I do about it? Then there needs to be. It's actually not that complicated, and it's pretty straightforward to help people if you know what you're doing.
Is there still a taboo though? Is that the real issue?
I guess it depends on the people. Like my generation, I'm 60, 61 now. Anything intimate, something to do with periods, vagina, that sort of stuff, you'd be a long time before you'd get the courage up to talk to the doctor. Whereas younger women nowadays, I think they're much more vocal, and rightly so.
Is this a guide for everybody of what to expect and how to proceed? Is that it?
Yeah, it's a bit of an overview, but I also wanted to make it readable, for people who like to read, and also kind of personal. So a good bit of it, not all of it, would be about what my own menopause situation was like and how I struggled to get a handle on it and a diagnosis. Most people think menopause is flushes and sweats, whereas I was working away in general practice and started getting like loads of anxiety and thought, Jesus, I must be having some kind of a stress breakdown here. And in fact, the whole time it was all menopause.
So it's like a kind of a spectrum, is it? There are some people who don't have huge symptoms when menopause.
It's kind of like puberty. You know how like some kids go through hell? Their moods are all over the place. Their face is ravaged by acne. But other kids seem to thrive during puberty and they take it in their stride. Well, menopause is like the backwards of puberty. It's the decline in sex hormone. And some people move through that transition quite seamlessly, and other people really, really suffer. And then there's a whole big cohort who've had their ovary hormone yanked off of them as a result of cancer therapy. So, and they can suffer particularly badly. So there's bits in the book for all of those people.
The hormone therapy can be quite controversial. So where do you stand with it?
Well, it kind of depends. So when HRT was first developed and evolved back in the 60s, it was made up of a very potent, strong form of estrogen hormone that was extracted from the urine of pregnant horses. So if you're a menopausal horse, it's perfect for you. But like for females, for women, it was a little bit hard and heavy. And lots of trials were done on it where it showed negative associations between that medication and things like breast cancer. The modern forms of HRT that Irish patients particularly are aware of and use, they're synthesized in a lab to mimic the molecules of estrogen that come out of the ovary normally. So much more benign. It's not your grandma's HRT.
I'm fascinated too to know where men come into all this because, we're in there, we're involved.
Somebody was saying to me, if my husband bought a menopause book and gave it to me as a present, I would kill him,
It's funny, when you said that, I had a vision of myself with the menopause book, like a scene from The Exorcist. With this book, I command the...
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Work, no?
She won't like that. No. If you were to educate your own self as a partner of somebody maybe experiencing the menopause or a loved one, just to get a sense of how crappy it can actually be, might give you a little bit more tolerance and insight into the journey they're on. And it does get better. It is a transitional thing. So eventually, whatever they were will come back, but it can take a little while to come through.
Great. Well, I think this will help everybody. And it sounds like they need the help. So thank you very much for talking to us.
Pleasure.